Discovered. Millionaire's shocking return reveals Nanny's touching connection with triplets. In the heart of Maplewood, where perfectly trimmed lawns met cookie-cutter homes, the stunning revelation of millionaire Gregory Morgan's return shattered the serene facade. Headlines splashed across local news. Millionaire's shocking return reveals Nanny's touching connection with triplets. The story captured imaginations and sparked whispers, but it missed the true heartbeat of what was at stake. Claire. For over a decade, Claire was more than a nanny to the Morgan triplets. She was their lifeline. Jake, Lily, and Max were just children when tragedy swept away their parents. Claire filled the void with love, teaching them the values of hard work, kindness, and resilience. Every moment they shared was precious. Baking cookies in the kitchen, reading stories as the sun dipped below the horizon, and watching fireflies light up the summer nights. Their laughter filled Claire's modest home, a stark contrast to the gleaming mansion the children had inherited. Now, as the news of their father's return loomed, her heart raced with anxiety. She could feel the change in the air, heavy and charged. The idea of Gregory re-entering their lives, of reclaiming what he had abandoned, sent waves of doubt crashing over her. She consoled herself by recalling the long nights spent nursing the kids through colds, the homework sessions that stretched past bedtime, the simple moments of peace they shared. Would they forget it all? Would they choose him over her? As days turned into weeks, tense family dinners became a battlefield. Claire watched helplessly as the children spun between the pinstripe suits, expensive toys, and their father's hollow promises. She saw in their eyes a flicker of recognition, as if they were being drawn to a world Claire could never understand. The affluent community looked at her with condescension, branding her the poor nanny, casting shadows on her years of dedication. Just when despair seemed overwhelming, an unexpected storm hit Maplewood, uprooting trees and triggering a power outage. Suddenly, the phone was silent, and the chatter of privileged neighbors turned to fear. Claire stepped into action, grounding the kids with her calm yet firm presence. Gregory, too, was forced to join them, and as chaos enveloped their neighborhood, they became united in a way they had never been before. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In that whirlwind, Claire felt an urgency she never expected. Amidst worry and debris, she witnessed her stubborn resilience mirrored in Gregory's eyes. For the first time, they were not just a nanny and a parent. They were partners in survival. Together, they scoured the neighborhood, rebuilding makeshift shelter for the kids, cooking meals over open flames, and forging a cautious yearning for trust. Yet, as the skies cleared, looming questions remained. Could Claire truly forgive the past? Would Gregory earn a second chance? Each heartbeat thrummed with uncertainty, an unspoken promise hanging in the air that hinted at redemption. The storm hadn't just altered their surroundings, it had cracked open the walls they had built around their hearts. As dawn broke, Claire stood at the threshold of a moment that felt like it could change everything, leaving readers anxiously awaiting her choice between love and loyalty. The morning sunlight streamed through the shattered branches, illuminating the aftermath of the storm. Claire's heart raced as she stepped outside, the cool air biting against her skin. She looked at the neighborhood, which was still clouded in debris, no longer the polished facade, but a reflection of their fractured lives. The triplets emerged from the house, wide-eyed and playful despite the chaos. It was easy to forget about their father's return in these moments. Jake kicked a fallen branch, sending it skittering across the yard. Lily chirped with delight, chasing after it, while Max joined in, giggling. Their laughter echoed through the air, momentarily drowning out the tension that had marred their dinners and silenced conversations. Claire couldn't help but smile. She felt a sudden warmth spread in her chest, this fleeting joy reminding her of the bond they had built. But just as quickly, the weight of uncertainty came crashing back down. She glanced toward the mansion and spotted Gregory standing at the door, arms crossed, watching the kids with a mixture of longing and hesitation. She brushed her hands on her apron, a bothersome reminder of the delicate balance between hope and fear. "Come on, you guys. Let's see if we can help," Claire called out, summoning the children back to reality. Together, they grabbed their tools, a motley assortment of shovels and rakes that somehow felt heavy with expectation. The kids followed her lead, freeing their imaginations as they turned the cleanup into an adventure. As they worked, she watched Gregory approach, his demeanor shifting from distant observer to eager participant. "Need any extra hands?" he asked, a tentative smile breaking through the trepidation in his eyes. "It's just some leaves," Claire replied, keeping her tone light, but guarded. She couldn't yet break the walls that had formed between them over the years, not when the echoes of his absence still haunted her. But the triplets, sensing the change, jumped at the chance. "Dad, help us!" they squealed, dragging him to the pile of debris that had become their makeshift fort. Claire couldn't deny the warmth that flickered within her as she witnessed Gregory's cautious approach. They worked side by side, a silent understanding forming amidst the laughter and chatter. For the first time, Claire saw glimpses of the father they had missed. Gregory joined in the kids' games, his laughter breaking the tension. It was a beautiful mess, full of leaves and mud, but that day it felt like a step toward rediscovery, a risk she was willing to take. As they cleared the remnants of the storm, a conversation began to weave through their laughter, a mix of small talk and tentative questions. Gregory attempted to engage Claire directly, but she deflected with playful banter. Each joke made their dynamic shift just a bit, cracking the surface of her guarded heart. But still, doubt lingered like the storm clouds that had just passed. Claire felt the fear of losing her place, her role in their lives. She worked hard to keep the children grounded, without losing herself in the undertow of hope. As the sun set, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, she found herself standing alone for a moment. The laughter faded, and she felt the weight of decisions pressing in. This was just the beginning. The real test was ahead. Could she really share the love she had cultivated? Would she step back and let Gregory into the space she had fiercely protected? Night fell, and deep down, Claire knew she would have to confront the truth sooner rather than later. Just as she turned to call the kids inside, a flash of doubt gripped her heart. Was she ready for the changes that were coming? Claire. Gregory's voice broke into her thoughts, warm and inviting, yet saturated with uncertainty. "Can we talk?" The weight of that question hung in the air, filled with endless possibilities and fears. Claire's heart raced. What would they reveal in the shadows of the night? The air was heavy with anticipation as Claire turned to face Gregory. He stood just a few steps away, his expression defined by a mix of hope and nervousness. The shadows of twilight danced around them, enveloping the moment in an almost surreal glow. "Yeah, I think we should," Claire said, her voice barely above a whisper. She felt like they were stepping into uncharted territory, where every word held the potential to change everything. The kids were busy inside, their giggles faded, but still echoing in her mind like a song. They walked a few paces away from the remnants of their impromptu cleanup operation, the laughter of their children still hanging in the air. The cool evening breeze brushed against Claire's skin, mingling with the warmth she felt toward Gregory. It was confusing. I'm not sure where to start," Gregory said, scratching the back of his neck. His vulnerability tugged at her heart. It was the first glimpse of the man she once knew, the man she had fallen in love with. Yet, so much time had passed. "Just say what you need to," Claire replied, her tone steady but her insides fluttering like leaves in the wind. He drew a deep breath, letting it out slowly. I know that being away for all those years hurt you and the kids. I thought I was doing the right thing, but watching from afar was unbearable. I want to change that. I want to be here, to be their dad again, to be a part of your life again. Her heart swelled at his words. Yet, the memories of lonely nights, the weight of responsibilities she had shouldered alone, rushed back. But it's not that simple, Gregory. The kids, they have been through a lot. I have been through a lot. I know, he said softly, stepping closer, then hesitating as if he were still afraid of stepping too far. I want to help, if you'll let me. I'll do whatever it takes to earn back your trust. The urge to give in, to melt under the warmth of his intentions, was strong. But doubt hovered over her like a stubborn cloud. Could she truly believe him? What if this is just temporary? You're back now, but who's to say you won't leave again? I can't let the kids go through that again. Gregory's brow furrowed, and she saw a flicker of sadness cross his face. You're right, and I can't ask you to trust me overnight. I just want a chance to show you that I'm here for the long haul. Claire's heart pounded in her chest. Could she really take a leap of faith? She closed her eyes briefly, envisioning what it would mean to let him in, what it would mean for the triplets, for herself. Just give me time, she replied, the words tumbling out like a hesitant promise. I need to see that you're committed, not just to them but to us. I will. His voice was firm, and she noticed his hands clenched into fists at his sides, as if willing the universe to hear his resolve. A smile crept onto Claire's face. Something was there. Perhaps it was fragility, but also glimmers of hope. They stood in silence, the air around them loaded with possibility. But as Claire turned to head inside, a nagging sensation crept back. The shadows weren't just lengthening, they were deepening. What would their new reality look like? How would they truly navigate the blend of past and future? Claire, Gregory called after her, desperation coloring his tone. What if I told you I'm ready to commit fully? I want to be part of their world, and yours too. It's about moving forward together. Her heart raced with competing emotions. What if she opened the door only to find him slipping away again? But then again, what if he meant it? As she turned slowly to face him, everything felt suspended in the twilight air, thick with unspoken promises. Then let's see where this goes, she said, her voice barely above a whisper, yet full of intention. Claire almost turned back toward the door but hesitated. But we need to talk more, Gregory, about everything, now and in the future. He nodded, the weight of her words palpable in the stillness around them. And as they ventured into that uncertain territory of trust and reconnection, far from just a father's return, the true journey lay in their hearts, waiting to unfold. And deep down, Claire wondered, would this newfound path be paved with love or regret? The night seemed to hold its breath, as did she. The night lingered, wrapping around them in a cradle of uncertainty. Claire contemplated the weight of her decision as she stood silent, breaths mingling in the cool air. She could sense Gregory's gaze on her, an invitation hovering in the stillness. It felt both exhilarating and terrifying. Claire, he began, breaking the spell. I know it won't be easy. I'm not asking for instant forgiveness, or even a warm welcome. Just a chance to prove that I belong here, to you and to the kids. His sincerity resonated in her chest, igniting a flicker of hope. What do you envision, Gregory? Claire asked, trying to keep her tone even. How do you see this playing out? What does being back actually mean for us? Her question hung in the air like a damning challenge. He took a step closer, the distance between them charged with an electric tension. I want to build something together. I want to be involved in the kids' lives, picking them up from school, going to their games, making memories, and I want to rediscover what we lost. A shiver ran down Claire's spine. Memories flashed in her mind, those chaotic days when laughter filled the house, when they were a team, side by side. But shadows of the past echoed too. Arguments, loneliness, betrayal. Could she really open the door to that again? "But you've been gone for so long," she replied carefully, weighing each word. "What will make this time different? What if you get scared and leave again? I can't face that. The kids can't. I get that." He ran a hand through his hair, frustration flickering in his dark eyes. "But leaving was never about you or the kids. It was my own fear dragging me to a place of inaction. I thought stepping away meant protecting you, but I see now how wrong I was." His admission felt like a crack in the armoring around her heart. She studied his face, searching for the signs of genuine change. All those years of confusion and pain replayed in her mind. Trust was a fragile bridge. "Then make me a promise," she said, voice unwavering. "Show me you're willing to fight for this family. Don't just say the words, live them, spend time with the kids, show up, be visible." Gregory's expression hardened with resolve. "I will. I'll spend the weekends with them. I'll help them with their projects, take them to the movies. Anything you need me to do, I'm in." Claire's breath caught in her throat, flooded with disbelief. Could she really allow him back into their lives? The thought sent a thrill through her, a mix of dread and excitement. "What if they don't want to see you?" she asked, her heart racing. "They've had years to settle into a routine without you." "I know, and I'll respect that. I'll go at their pace, but we need to take that step together." His eyes locked onto hers, full of sincerity. "I want to make up for lost time, even if it takes years." A silence fell between them, thick with unspoken fears. Claire felt the tug of fate. As much as she wanted to resist, a part of her wanted to believe. The chance of what might be was almost intoxicating. "Well then, we'll start with dinner tomorrow night." "Dinner?" he repeated, hope flaring in his voice. "Yes, with the kids. It'll be awkward, but let's see how it goes." "Thank you, Claire," he said softly. "I won't let you down." As she turned to head inside, something in her chest fluttered, a blend of hope and trepidation. The door creaked as she pushed it open, the laughter of the triplets spilling into the night like a soft melody. "Claire!" Gregory called out, his voice imbued with urgency. "No matter what happens, I'll be there for you. I'm ready to be a dad, a partner." And standing on that threshold, Claire felt a mixture of warmth and anxiety wrap around her. She was at a crossroads. The path ahead could lead to healing or heartbreak, but was she truly ready to embrace this chance? As she stepped inside, the question lingered with her and echoed back into the cool night. What had she truly set in motion? And if tomorrow changed everything, would she be able to handle the repercussions? Dinner arrived, and with it, a fog of anticipation thick enough to cut. Claire busied herself in the kitchen, chopping vegetables, stirring the pasta, the rhythmic movements doing little to settle her mind. The smell of garlic and roasted tomatoes filled the air, creating a cozy atmosphere that felt both inviting and heavy with expectation. The triplets were an energetic whirlwind around her. Laughter and the shouts of "I can help" filled the space as they set the table. Claire felt their excitement, a small refuge from the growing storm of her own thoughts. Did they sense the change brewing? She glanced at their innocent faces, each one sparkling with the delight of being part of a family unit. Would this dinner shatter the fragile balance they had achieved, or would it provide them with the chance they needed? The clock ticked down the minutes, and as the hour approached, nerves danced in her stomach. She wiped her hands on a dish towel and glanced at the door, half expecting Gregory to show up and sweep them all into his embrace. She had assured him that this was a modern beginning. Still, she felt the weight of history creeping in. When the doorbell rang, a sharp jolt shot through her. She stood still for a moment, heart racing, contemplating how to play this. The kids, however, had no hesitation. They broke from their activities and rushed towards the sound, the eldest, Bella, taking the lead. "Stay calm," Claire whispered to herself, drawing in a deep breath before following. As she opened the door, she found Gregory on the other side, looking slightly awkward with a bouquet of flowers in one hand and a box of chocolates in the other. The moment seemed to freeze, and Claire was caught in a mix of endearment and wariness. "Hi," he said, the word almost a breath. "Hi," she returned, her voice steadier than she felt. The kids crowded around, eyes wide, curiosity bubbling up within them. "Flowers for the lady of the house," he said with a tinge of pride. "And treats for you guys," he added, leaning down to address the triplets who were bouncing on their toes. "Yay!" they shouted in unison, and a smile broke through Claire's resolve. Maybe this could work. They moved to the dining table, arranged and now sparkling under soft light. Gregory took a seat at the end, the children on either side of him, their chatter filling the air as they excitedly recounted their latest adventures. Claire watched from the kitchen, her heart warming despite the undercurrent of anxiety that swirled within her. It was like old times, almost. But amid the chatter, a moment of silence fell as they began to eat. Claire caught Gregory's gaze across the table. There was something about the way he looked at her. It pierced through her defenses. "So, how was school today?" he asked, leaning towards the kids, breaking the stillness. They exploded with stories, each triplet trying to outdo the other, their enthusiasm infectious. Claire couldn't help but smile at their energy. It was a sound she had missed. Yet, in the back of her mind, a question lingered. Could this really be the beginning of something new? As dinner wore on, the laughter flowed like the wine, and for a moment, Claire allowed herself to embrace the joy. But the closer they got to dessert, the more she could feel the tension creeping back in. Would he truly stay this time? Or was this just a performance? Gregory reached for her hand, and for the briefest moment, their fingers intertwined across the table. It felt so natural, yet so foreign. His voice was low as he said, "No matter how this goes, Claire, I mean it. I'm committed." Her heart raced at this reassurance. But deep down, uncertainty flickered like a candle in the wind. As dessert was served, the laughter and warmth of the moment enveloped her like a thick blanket. Yet, the question loomed. How long could this last? Would she emerge from the evening filled with hope, or find her worst fears realized? The door swung wide open, revealing more than one could ever prepare for, and as they laughed, Claire felt the fragile threads binding them begin to fray. Would she stand strong enough to endure this turbulent journey? As dessert plates were cleared, the chatter from the triplets filled the air again, mingling with the light clinking of forks against plates. Claire felt a warmth spread through her, but lingering questions hovered just out of focus, like ghosts waiting to be acknowledged. "So what's next for you, Claire?" Gregory's voice broke through her thoughts. She met his gaze, trying to read his expression. Was he truly interested, or was it simply an effort to fill the silence? "Oh, just the usual work and getting the kids settled for summer," she replied, her words dancing lightly on the surface of deeper issues. "Summer! Right. What are you planning?" He leaned forward, genuinely engaged. Each word stirred something within her. A warmth, an exhilaration, and yet a shadow of doubt skated across her heart. Bella chimed in. "Can we go to the beach? I want to build the biggest sandcastle ever." Claire smiled, her heart swelling with the innocence of her daughter's exuberance. "That sounds like a fantastic idea. We could make it a family day." Gregory nodded, adding, I'd love to join you if that's all right. I mean, if you're comfortable with it. A jolt shot through her. Could she really invite him into such personal territory? But the glimmers of hope flicked in soft colors against that fear. Sure, I think it'd be great, she managed to murmur, feeling the kids' excitement radiating in the room. The triplets cheered, and Claire couldn't help but smile. This was how family worked, wasn't it? Yet, as fleeting joy circled her heart like a fleeting summer breeze, a voice inside argued that trust was built on a rocky ground, one that had crumbled beneath her before. The evening wore on, filled with laughter and little stories that felt like pieces of a puzzle coming together. The kids hung on every word Gregory shared about his childhood, and for the first time, Claire could almost see a flicker of the man she once fell for. His charm was undeniable when he spoke of mundane things with such passion. But amid the laughter was the rustling reminder of the empty spaces in their lives. They shared glories, but so many tribulations lay buried beneath. Claire's heart pounded as she stole glances at Gregory, wondering if he too felt the underlying tension, the unresolved fractures that threatened to tear through their fragile peace. Did he think their dynamic could truly shift after all they'd been through? And then, just as abruptly as laughter lifted the room, it teemed with an awkward silence when Sophia, the youngest triplet, turned to Gregory. "Will you really stay this time?" Her small voice broke through, innocent yet heavy. Claire's breath hitched. The question, though innocent, hung in the air like an unresolved chord, sharp and poignant. Gregory's eyes widened, but the warmth dimmed as the truth unfolded before them. He hesitated, glancing towards Claire for an answer she wasn't ready to give. Claire's heart sank. "That's a complicated question, honey. Everyone has to choose when they want to stay," she said softly, her throat tight with the weight of unacknowledged emotions. Gregory cleared his throat. "What your mom means is, we're working on things," he added. But his smile faltered, an echo of the uncertainty swirling in the air. Silence settled once more. Claire felt the room shrink, the laughter evaporating into a thick fog of unspoken fears. "What if it means hurting more?" Bella asked, wide-eyed and earnest, voicing the unspoken turmoil that danced in Claire's heart. As warmth faded into tension, Claire realized they were standing on the precipice of something monumental. Could they navigate through this labyrinth of emotions together? Or would past choices bind them in chains of regret and fear? The weight pressed against her chest, but she wasn't willing to break just yet. With a determined breath, she looked around the table at the faces that mattered most. "We owe it to ourselves to try," she finally said, her voice firm yet soft. The challenge echoed back to her, reverberating like a call to arms. But little did Claire know, their next decision could lead them deeper into the maze, or bring them closer to light than they ever imagined. Would they rise together, stronger and more united? Or would the dread of history repeat itself? The room still buzzed with the energy of clinking dishes and fading laughter, but Claire could feel the air weighing heavy around them. The triplets, sensing the shift, glanced back and forth between their mother and Gregory, their innocent excitement dimming slightly as they absorbed the tension. Claire tightened her grip on her fork and offered a nervous smile, a gesture meant to reassure them, but it lacked conviction. "Where are we going to go, Mom?" Danny asked, his voice a hopeful note breaking the silence. His little hands fidgeted in his lap, clearly trying to defuse the building pressure. Claire took a deep breath. "How about the coast? We could pick a beach, pack some sandwiches, and make a whole day of it." With each word, she reminded herself of the importance of this time together. A step towards something better, something deeper than just family outings. Gregory leaned back slightly, his eyes searching hers, watching her try to keep things buoyant. "That sounds perfect." He nodded, but Claire noted a flicker of uncertainty in his expression. Was he really committed to being part of this, or just trying to be what they all wanted him to be? The triplets erupted into a debate about what kind of sandwiches they wanted to have, but Claire's focus was elsewhere, spiraling into deeper thoughts. Each giggle, each idea floated past her, but Gregory's earlier words lingered. "We're working on things." Did they really think that was enough? When the chatter around the table subdued, Clara took a moment to gather her thoughts. A gentle unease twisted within her as she weighed her next words carefully. "I want us to enjoy the time together. But it's also important, Gregory, that we address the moments from the past. We can't just sweep everything under the rug." Gregory nodded slowly, his gaze dropping to the table. "You're right. I've been thinking about that too. There are things we need to face if I'm really going to be here." Her heart raced. Could he mean it? Even the children, despite their innocent concerns, looked on with anticipation, as if they too could feel the shift in the narrative. "Does this mean you're planning to stay?" Bella's voice piped in, her brown eyes searching his for reassurance. It was the childlike honesty that tugged at Claire's heart, igniting a flame of hope within her. Gregory opened his mouth, a mixture of reluctance and determination, forming a tight line across his face. "I want to stay, but first we need to make sure that's the right decision for everyone." His hesitation was palpable. Claire felt the familiar twinge of betrayal, as though history had begun to echo back. The words had a weight, leading her to wonder if everything was just looping back to where they had once been, with unanswered questions and unfulfilled promises. "I know that I can't predict what the future holds," she said carefully, "but I want us to really discuss everything." The little faces around the table nodded. The children had never been through this, never felt the burden of adult relationships stretched thin by the turmoil of the past. They simply wanted to be happy, to go on beach adventures, and build sandcastles. But Claire knew the path forward wasn't just about those innocent dreams. It demanded courage to navigate unseen waters. "I want us to be honest," she continued, searching his face. "Can we really take this step? Are you ready for what may come with it?" Gregory's gaze hardened, but a softness crept through the cracks. "I'll try," he said with a sincerity that reverberated through the room. "I promise I'll do my best." But in Claire's heart, that still left an open question, crackling like electricity in the air. Would trying be enough? The triplets shifted, sensing her uncertainty. As they began to chatter again, Claire felt an urgent pull to push forward, yet a distance still existed between them. And just then, as if attracted by her distress, her phone buzzed on the table, an unexpected notification that made Claire's heart thud louder against her ribcage. It was a message from an unknown number, one that could unleash any remnants of joy still lingering around the table. "Who's that?" Bella asked, eyes illuminating with curiosity. Claire hesitated, the weight of her past hovering over the present. Should she look? With trepidation, she reached for her phone, a rare allusion to the chaos that had once cloaked their lives. What new storm was brewing just outside their little bubble? What was waiting for them on the other side of that screen? The words caught in Claire's throat. She stared at the screen, the message glaring at her like a warning signal. There was no name attached, just a group of words that begged for her attention, a blend of curiosity and dread swirling in her belly. Danny, noticing her hesitation, frowned. "Mom, what's wrong?" His voice, innocent and filled with concern, broke through her spiraling thoughts. "It's just a message," Claire finally managed to say, forcing her voice to remain steady, though she felt anything but. The triplets continued their buzzing chatter, but a knot had tightened in her chest. She had to know, but she also feared what she might uncover. Gregory shifted in his seat. His eyes flicked from her to the phone with a hint of unease. "You should open it, Claire. If it's important." His words trailed off, leaving a heavy silence in the air. With a trembling hand, she swiped the notification open. As she read the message, the world around her faded into a hum, muffled by the sudden rush of adrenaline. It detailed something she had long buried deep under layers of painful memories. An old acquaintance reaching out about the past, about her decisions, about the triplets. "Claire?" Bella's voice pulled her back, the concern deepening in her eyes. "Everything is fine," Claire replied, though she wasn't sure if she could convince even herself. But as the words of the message seeped into her mind, an ice-cold dread pulsed through her veins. How could it still haunt her? What had she done that would bring this back into her life? A knot of memories sprang to life, entwining with the present. The beautiful seaside home they used to visit, laughter echoing through sun-drenched days. What was it about this that threatened her newfound peace? The twin faces of innocence looked up, their anticipation lingering in the air, hope flickering like a fragile candle. She couldn't hide this from them, not while they were still yearning for the togetherness they had lost. "Gregory," she finally whispered, not knowing what she was about to say, but needing him by her side. "This isn't just a simple message." The words felt heavy, like lead in her mouth. Immediately his focus sharpened. He leaned in, curiosity mixed with concern. "What does it say? You look pale." Taking a steadying breath, Claire moved to share the screen with him, trying not to focus on the uncertainty flickering in his eyes. "It's someone from my past. They want to talk. About us." The kids, still attuned to the change in vibe, couldn't sit still anymore. "Is it someone who knows us?" Danny asked, eyes wide with a mix of wonder and worry. "Can't my children have one moment of innocence?" The thought rushed through her mind, mingling with a desperate wish that the past could remain buried. But life had a funny way of pulling back the rug when least expected. "They know about you," she murmured, half expecting the ground to collapse beneath her feet. But it was Gregory's steady touch on her back that helped ground her in the moment. "What do they want?" Gregory asked, his voice low but resonating with the heaviness of their shared journey. Distraction buzzed in her head. Would facing this person truly help their fractured family, or merely reveal heartache? The desire for clarity battled against the fear of reopening the wounds she thought had healed. Maybe this is what we need," she said, the words spilling out before her heart could catch up. "If it can help us understand, to know what we're up against." Gregory's expression softened, a tiny flicker of hope glinting in his eyes, but uncertainty hung between them. "Are you ready for that?" "Am I?" Claire echoed, her words shimmering with doubt, but also a burgeoning courage. Then she looked back at the triplets, the tiny faces resembling bright beacons against a rocky shore, shining yet vulnerable. Their happiness deserved a chance, a real chance. The air swirled with muted expectations, the room feeling smaller, more charged with possibilities. "Okay," Claire breathed out. "Let's see what they have to say. For us." As she prepared to type her response, the phone buzzed again, another message landing like an avalanche of uncertainty. Gregory leaned in closer, both of them sharing the weight of apprehension, the weight of a shared journey that tethered them together, even as the ground felt unsteady. What more could this revelation uncover? What was waiting for them in the shadows of their past? Claire's heart raced as she gingerly tapped the screen again. The second message blinked to life, and it felt like the universe was holding its breath. She braced herself for whatever revelation awaited, her palms clammy against the cool surface of her phone. What could possibly be so urgent? Gregory's gaze bore into her, a mixture of support and silent plea hanging in the air like fragile glass. The triplets, oblivious to the weight of history pressing down on them, continued fidgeting in their seats, whispering to one another and throwing occasional glances at their parents. With each passing moment, the anticipation grew thicker. "Just read it," he urged gently, and Claire felt his resolve seep into her bones, bolstering her shaky courage. Taking a deep breath, she opened the new message. It connected the past to the present in a way she never could have anticipated. The sender had not only reached out about wanting to discuss the past, they hinted at something much deeper. The message read, "I have something important to share. It's about the triplets, and the life you thought you'd left behind." Her stomach twisted violently. She could almost hear a distant echo of laughter and voices from that long-ago seaside house filled with light. Each word carved deeper into her gut, pulling all her fears and worries to the surface. "Mom?" Bella's voice sliced through the tension, pulling Claire back from memories that threatened to drown her. "Are we going to meet someone?" The innocent curiosity in Bella's wide eyes reignited Claire's protective instincts. How could she explain that shadows of their past could loom large over their small world? I'm not sure yet," she answered, her voice barely above a whisper, tinged with uncertainty. She looked at Gregory, whose eyebrows knitted together. "Maybe we should reply," Gregory suggested, an edge of urgency creeping into his tone. "Just like that?" Claire felt strands of anxiety weaving tighter. What if it opens a door that shouldn't be reopened? Or what if it gives us answers we need? He countered gently. But the weight of doubt still clung to her. The click of her kids' laughter filled the background, a light, innocent sound that was so precious she couldn't help but feel protective. But what if this person had the potential to shatter their fragile sense of peace? Claire rubbed her temples, frustration mounting. The easy decision she wished for felt far from reach, like a mirage fading into the distance. "I wish I could just wave a magic wand to make this go away," she whispered, voice thick with emotion. "Wands don't work like that," Gregory replied, his voice steady. "Sometimes we have to face the past to pave the way for the future." His words hung in the silence, reverberating with a familiar truth. Could rekindling the old connections actually illuminate the path forward, or would it only lead to tangled tangents of regret? She wanted to believe them, but doubt had seeped deep into her heart. "Let's see if they're willing to talk," Claire blurted suddenly, surprising both herself and Gregory. "I want to hear what they have to say." Danny and Bella exchanged hopeful glances, the weight of their shared anticipation flickering like a candle in the wind. Her fingers hovered above the keyboard as she typed her response. "Okay," she murmured softly to herself, before hitting send. With that one decision, Claire felt a momentous shift within, the beginning of untangling the knots that bound them with the past. But as she watched the little dots dance on the screen, indicating a reply was on its way, she felt her heart contract with dread. What if the past was more than she was prepared to handle? Then the message arrived. A simple, yet powerful phrase appeared. "I'll come by to explain. Trust me. It'll be worth it." And just like that, a new storm loomed on the horizon, one that could change everything. What lay ahead for Claire and the kids? What revelations awaited them that would forever alter their fragile world? The sun rose the next morning, casting long shadows over Maplewood. Claire stood at the kitchen window, watching the golden rays dance on the dew-kissed grass. But the beauty of the day felt like a fragile facade, disguising the turmoil bubbling inside her. Today was the day she would have to confront her past. Gregory entered the kitchen, his footsteps light yet heavy with a lingering tension. "Are you ready?" His voice was calm, though she could see the unasked questions swirling beneath the surface. Claire turned to him, her heart racing. "I guess, as ready as I'll ever be." The uncertainty in her voice betrayed her brave facade. The triplets were buzzing with excitement, blissfully unaware. They gathered at the table, asking about the arrival of the mysterious visitor. Bella's big eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "Will it be someone fun?" Claire hesitated. What could she tell them? That this person could bring the past crashing back in ways they might not be ready for? Or that this visit could either mend their broken family or shatter their newfound sense of hope. Perhaps, she finally managed, feeling trapped between protecting their innocence and preparing them for the truth. As the clock ticked painfully near their appointed time, apprehension settled over Claire like a thick woolen blanket. The triplets started throwing light-hearted banter around their family breakfast table, which felt almost symbolic of their unsung resilience. They were ready for a fun day. But the burden of reality hung heavy on Claire's heart. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Claire's stomach dropped like a stone. She exchanged glances with Gregory. The moment of truth had arrived. "Remember," Gregory whispered, squeezing her hand as he moved toward the door. "We're in this together." The door opened, and with it surged a wave of emotion. Standing before them was a stranger, someone whose presence felt ominous, yet strangely familiar. Claire's heart raced. The connection was deeper than she realized, an echo from years long forgotten. "Hi there," the visitor said, their voice steady. "I'm Emily, and I think it's time we talked." The air turned thick as she stepped inside, bringing a chill of nostalgia and unresolved feelings along with her. Why now? Claire finally found her voice after a hesitant silence. "Why do you want to discuss the past?" Emily glanced over at the triplets, who were peeking curiously from behind Claire. "Because there are things that need closure. Things that could impact your children." The words were sharp, yet reverberated with a strange sense of urgency. Claire felt a knot tighten in her chest. "Honestly," Emily continued, "I believe your kids deserve to understand where they come from, even if that journey is complicated." The triplets moved closer, sensing the tension but also drawn by the intrigue of the conversation. Bella, wide-eyed, asked, "Who are you?" Emily knelt down to meet them at eye level, her expression softening. "I'm someone from your mom's past, a part of your family story. I want to help clarify some things about your father." Claire's breath caught in her throat. Each word sent a fresh wave of doubt crashing over her. Should she let this continue? But Gregory's reassuring presence remained beside her, anchoring her in a sea of uncertainty. "Is it about why he disappeared?" Max piped up, his voice quavering but full of curiosity. "Yes," Emily nodded, and she looked at Claire with understanding. "It's important that they know the truth. We can't change what you faced, but maybe together we can help lighten the burden." For just a moment, Claire considered it. She remembered the weight of her struggles, the sleepless nights filled with worry that her children wouldn't know their father, that they might feel abandoned. "Okay," she finally breathed, the word escaping her lips like a reluctant promise. "But this is fragile ground. If we do this, we do it respectfully. We're a family, albeit unconventional, and they come first." "Absolutely," Emily replied, her tone sincere. As they settled around the kitchen table, the triplets exchanged speculative glances, the young minds trying to piece what this meant. Gregory pulled Claire close, as if steadying her against the tide of emotions threatening to swallow her whole. "I'm here, Claire," he reassured softly. "Whatever comes, we'll face it together." Emily began to share stories of days gone by, of moments frozen in time, secrets nestled within her heart, and decisions made in darkness. With each tale woven into the fabric of the afternoon, Claire felt the weight of history shift ever so slightly. The triplets listened with rapt attention, their faces morphing from innocence to understanding, absorbing the intricacies of the conversations surrounding them. When the stories flowed, Claire found herself drifting between anger and acceptance. Every revelation acted as a salve to the wounds she thought would never heal while simultaneously reopening old scars. "Does this mean Dad is coming back for good?" Danny asked, a hint of hope mixed with vulnerability. "I can't say that yet," Emily replied cautiously, her gaze meeting Claire's. "But conversations like this are what builds bridges, not just for you, but for your children too. As moments rolled on, Claire felt a flicker of comfort settle in. The tension in the room began to thaw, transformed by shared laughter and the warmth of connection. Even the triplets shifted from doubt to intrigue, and Claire clung to that positivity, as fragile as it seemed. When Emily finally took her leave, Claire felt the weight of her words hanging in the air. Yet something had shifted. There was an undercurrent of clarity slicing through the confusion. Turning to the triplets, Claire knelt down so they were eye to eye. "I know today was a lot to take in," she began, her voice low and steady. "But wherever this journey leads us, I am here with you, always fighting for us." The children returned her gaze with unwavering trust, their small faces unwavering pillars of innocence. Suddenly, they erupted with chatter, asking questions, expressing worries, interspersing dreams of sandcastles and summers by the beach. Claire's heart felt lighter. A family, her family, was weathering the storm together. And at that moment, in the stillness of their small kitchen, she knew. Love, honesty, and time could begin to mend what had once been splintered. They had the chance to build a new legacy together, one anchored in hope instead of fear. "Are you guys ready for the beach?" Claire called out, unable to suppress the excitement bubbling in her chest. "Yes!" the triplets shouted in unison, their laughter rising like a fresh breeze, washing away the remnants of doubt and opening their world to endless possibilities. And as they prepared for the adventures ahead, Claire felt her heart swell with determination. Together they could tackle anything. They were not just surviving. They were starting anew. It was a thrilling new chapter in their lives. But she couldn't help but hold on to the thought. There would be bumps along the road. With renewed resolve, Claire breathed in the promise of tomorrow, an adventure awaiting, and stepped forth bravely into the light, ready to face everything with her beloved trio. This was the beginning, after all. So as you stand witness to this emotional journey, I'd like to invite you to deeply engage with our story. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It truly makes all the difference. Comment down below with your reactions and feelings about the ending. Your thoughts matter to us. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation unfold. You need to be part of this community, so don't wait not even one more second to share. Thank you for your continued support.